Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. My parents used to tell me, at first, if you don't succeed, try and try again. I don't think that's true in America anymore. Now it is, if first you don't succeed, cheat. Do you remember when we told you about net neutrality? And we told you that they were going to begin to protect you on the internet. It was called net neutrality. Well, they're going to do it. We told you they would. Most people relaxed. They're going to do it anyway. The FCC announced plans today that they are going to go ahead and regulate the internet. This, by the way, was rejected by Congress. FCC Chairman Julius, how appropriate that his name is Julius Genachowski, says he believes he has the legal authority to do so and has set a vote on December 21st. But don't worry, it's only about fairness and protecting you. It's about neutrality. Nothing to worry about here. It's not like we have a regulatory czar who wants to dictate what you see on the internet, is it?
Sites of one point of view agree to provide links to other sites, so that if you're reading a conservative magazine, they would provide a link to a liberal site and vice versa, just to make it easy for people to get access to competing views. Or maybe a pop-up on your screen that would show an advertisement or maybe even a quick argument for a competing view. If we could get voluntary arrangements in that direction, it would be great. And if we can't get voluntary arrangements, maybe Congress should hold hearings about mandates.
Well, they did, and they rejected it, and now we have the FCC just doing it. This is why we have a regulatory czar, who I warned you about. He had his dream job, and he is making his dreams come true. They will be our nightmares. Also, President Obama is losing ground on the Bush tax cuts. Now, if he can't get this done, well, don't worry. He's going to push the idea of a value-added tax. It's got to be great because it has value right in the title. And Europe, which we have been watching on this program for quite some time and warning before anything was percolating over there that it's trouble. Tim Geithner just called it a mess. And Europe is now being presented with a choice. This from the Financial Times. The fact is that we are now very near the point at last when Europe's policymakers will be faced with either setting up a fiscal union or sitting back and watching as our banks implode around us. I thought they said this wasn't going to happen. If you had to pick, America, today, would you say that freedom is on the march or in retreat? We have seen this over and over and over again, all throughout history. Man becomes free, man becomes complacent, man loses freedom, man becomes a slave. No one in their wildest imaginations could have ever predicted the fall of Rome. But they fell. They would have known it if they would have read history. Tonight, I will show you how we are repeating the exact mistakes of ancient Rome. And we are on the fast track to writing the next chapter in world history titled The Rise and Fall of American Empire and Man's Freedom. Hello, America. You see the movie The Matrix? The Matrix. You can take the red pill or the blue pill. That's what Neo was presented. He was presented with a choice. Here it is.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So, may I give you the choice, America? Take the blue pill. Turn the channel. Turn the channel. Go back to sleep. Or you want to find out how deep the hole is? You want to find out where we're going? Roll over and go back to sleep. Or open your eyes and see our future by looking into the past. Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. And I know it's a cliche, but it's only a cliche because it's true. We don't know our own history. I told you last night, 26% of Americans don't know that 4th of July is to celebrate the breaking away from Great Britain. 26%. Now, if we knew our history, we would take lessons from once legendary civilizations that fell before us, because they all fall in the same way. The Babylonians, the Soviet Union, Germany, France during the French Revolution, hugely important to us today, and Rome. This is a pattern that I highlighted in my book, Broke. In the first 6 pages, we start to go on to Rome, because it's spooky how much we are doing like Rome. Here's the bell curve of history. There's the expansion and the contraction. Regionalization. People start coming together, the ascension into an empire. You start to grow, you mature, you become overextended, and decline and legacy. Happens that time over and over and over again, same way. Well, tonight I want to take a look at the timeline of the rise and fall of Rome. I'm not going to show you much in the rise, but I'm going to compare the decline. We will show you where we are in comparison. But before we start, everybody thinks of the Roman Empire, but I want you to understand there's something really important. Most people never take the time to explain that Rome wasn't always an empire. It was a republic at first. There was freedom. Things went well. That's why they expanded. And then, when freedom started to fall apart, that's when they became an empire. They went from freedom to feeding people to lions for sport. Now, how do you go from a decent people that are expanding to taking people and feeding them to lions? I mean, logically, if we progress, if we are all so progressive, shouldn't it go the other way? You start feeding people to lions and then you don't? Former comptroller of the U.S., David Walker, explains, and he knows because he's seen all of America's books. In fact, he has served both for Republicans and Democrats and was frustrated with both of them, and that's why he left government service. He said, people have to know the truth. He knows how deep the rabbit hole is. He says, quote, there are striking similarities between America's current situation and that of another great power from the past, Rome. The Roman Republic fell for many reasons, but 3 reasons are worth remembering. Declining moral values and political civility at home. How are we doing on that one? An overconfident and overextended military in foreign lands. How are we doing on that one? Boys, you're watching me overseas. You tired yet? And 3, fiscal irresponsibility by the central government. Those were the 3 things that caused the collapse of the Roman Empire. Now, does any of that sound familiar? It should, because that is us. Read the newspaper. The founders knew that it was up to the individual. They knew as a collective, man stunk on ice. Man could make progress, but man would make progress with each generation as an individual. I mean, Thomas Jefferson said that we should have a vote after every generation, and there should be a new form of government every generation. Why? Because every generation was different. Man doesn't progress past natural man, past brutality as a collective. It is an individual struggle. It's individual salvation and an individual struggle. History shows us that when man tries to control freedom and put the collective ahead of the individual, it never, never ends well. Rome was a functioning republic. A republic is just like what we were in the first 100 years. But then as the wars mounted, as bureaucracy expanded, as power became more and more centralized, remember, that is not the way our republic was set up. We were not supposed to have centralized power. That's why we left England. Too much power in the hands of too few people. Well, when the bureaucracy started up, and all the regulations and everything else, it took quite a toll on the economy and on the individual. They usually go together, because when you have bureaucracy and you can't get things done, personal ambition begins to wither, especially if that government starts taking stuff and giving it out to others. That's when handouts begin, and that causes people to be complacent. That causes people to go, you know what, forget it, it's not worth it. Edward Gibbon wrote in the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire that, quote, it was artfully contrived by Augustus that in the enjoyment of plenty, the Romans should lose the memory of freedom. This is what I've been talking to you about for the last few weeks. It goes back to the Tower of Babel. What is the mortar that keeps the bricks together? Materialism. That's what ancient the Tower of Babel. The mortar that kept everyone together was materialism. That's what he was saying here. That in the more stuff they gave, they started to lose the memory of freedom. How many of us even understand what freedom really means anymore? If we lose our stuff, do we turn on each other? I contend at this point, yes. And we are being taught to turn on each other. It's them that did it to you. We're being taught this. And you don't even have to look at today. We will in a second. You don't have to look at today. Look at the past. It's the same every time. In 133 BC, the decline of the Roman Republic begins. And they start to redistribute the land. They start seizing illegally occupied by the rich, the land illegally occupied by the rich. And they gave it to the poor. They put caps on the amount of acreage that one man could own. And if it exceeded that, it was given to the poor. They didn't have approval from the Senate. They didn't even wait around for the Senate. They just went around them, did it anyway. Well, what's happening now? Redistribution of wealth through health care and cap and trade. Did they do health care the right way? How about cap and trade? They're meeting in Mexico this week, and the administration has said, don't worry about it. Congress has stalled cap and trade, but don't worry about it. We'll get around. This is pole vaulting. What was it that Nancy Pelosi said? We'll get it done. We'll climb over the fence. We'll pole vault. That's what they did in the decline of the Roman Republic. Today, Congress is being circumvented in every single way possible. Remember I told you about the food safety bill? Well, here's audio. After the vote of this bill, a Democratic senator, this isn't a Republican, a Democratic senator, was standing on the floor near an open mic, didn't know the mic was open. Listen to what he says about his own party and the way this food safety bill was rigged. Watch.
Because it's all rigged. I mean, the whole conversation is rigged. The fact that we don't get to a discussion before the break about what we're going to do in the lame duck, it's just rigged. This stuff's rigged.
It's rigged. This is a Democrat. This is a Democratic senator saying that your Senate is rigged. Well, you know it and I know it. Well, there's confirmation from a member of the Democratic Party. And why isn't that the lead story? Your republic is being destroyed. Now, 123 BC. Whole new package of legislation full of handouts, including state-subsidized food rations. Today, the food rations. What are we debating right now? First of all, we had land grabs, but we're having those now as well. Food rations. What is this? Today. How about the 99ers? These are people who have 2 years of unemployment checks. 2 years. Does it ever end? In 58 BC, Claudius ran for the office of tribune. On the bumper sticker, if they had bumpers back then, free wheat for the masses. That was his platform. Free wheat, free food. And he won. Today, 42 million people are on food stamps. And listen, free is the operative word here. Listen to what the students are now calling for over in London and Europe.
In the fight to defend what should be a right, and that is free education for all. Free education.
Free education.
That doesn't saddle you with years of debt, with years of misery, with not even able to provide for yourself or your families. It's an absolute disgrace that we are a country that's run by 18 multi-millionaires who don't care about any audience today, who don't care about vast swathes of society.
Stop. I can't take it anymore.